Ever wonder why scam calls feel so specific? Why they somehow already know your name, your city, or even your address? It's usually because of data brokers. These companies collect your personal information from across the internet and sell it online, usually without you even realizing it. Things like your phone number, home address, family members, and even places you've lived. And once your information is out there, it spreads fast. That's where Aura comes in. Aura automatically finds your personal information on data broker sites and submits removal requests for you. Then Aura keeps monitoring to help make sure your information stays gone. You can even see where your data was found and removed. And Aura goes beyond data removal. You also get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. Right now, you can try Aura free at aura.com/hidden. That's aura.com/hidden.
Welcome to Horror Stories Podcast. I'm Robert Crandall. Well, the eyes have it. My cataract surgery was successful, and my vision is now amazing. The eyes were done about 2 weeks apart. The right eye first, in which I was awake for the procedure. Felt no pain, saw a great light show. However, for the left eye, I was put completely under. The surgeon said I moved during the first surgery, and this time I would be out, and an incision would be made in the eye and a tube inserted to inject anesthesia into the eye so it would not move. Well, that sounded pretty scary, but kudos to a very skilled surgeon, and everything is fine. You know, I was concerned about blindness because there is that risk, and I'm concerned about the blind. What a horrible tragedy. Now I hear that a man whose name we all know, but I won't mention, is onto something that may restore sight to the blind. Wouldn't that be great? I hope that he is successful. Oh, I want to say thank you to whoever sent me $5. That was great. I don't know who it was. But if you want to support the show, you can go to adventuresinaudio.net and click on the Buy Me a Coffee logo or the Donate logo to use other methods like PayPal and credit card and so forth. And your support is very, very appreciated. It really is. Our feature story is kind of disgusting, really. A scientist wants to remove a mark on his wife's face, and he creates a potion that will remove the mark. But efforts to do this don't go well. I hope you enjoy The Birthmark by Nathaniel Hawthorne. A long time ago, there lived a skillful scientist who had experienced a spiritual reaction more striking than any chemical one. He had left his laboratory in the care of his assistant, washed the chemicals from his hands, and asked a beautiful woman to become his wife. In those days, new scientific discoveries such as electricity seemed to open paths into the area of miracles. It was not unusual for the love of science to compete with the love of a woman. The scientist's name was Almer. He had so totally given himself to scientific studies that he could not be weakened by a second love. His love for his young wife could only be the stronger of the two if it could link itself with his love of science. Such a union did take place with truly remarkable results. But one day, very soon after their marriage, Almer looked at his wife with a troubled expression. "Georgiana," he said, "have you ever considered that the mark upon your cheek might be removed?" "No," she said, smiling. But seeing the seriousness of his question, she said, "The mark has so often been called a charm that I was simple enough to imagine that it might be so." "On another face it might," answered her husband, "but not on yours. No, dear. Nature made you so perfectly that this small defect shocks me as being a sign of earthly imperfection." "Shocks you?" cried Georgiana, deeply hurt. Her face reddened as she burst into tears. "Then why did you marry me? You cannot love what shocks you." We must explain that in the center of Georgiana's left cheek there was a mark, deep in her skin. The mark was usually a deep red color. When Georgiana blushed, the mark became less visible. But when she turned pale, there was the mark, like a red stain upon snow. The birthmark would come and go with the emotions of her heart. The mark was shaped like a very small human hand. Georgiana's past lovers used to say that the hand of a magical fairy had touched her face when she was born. Many a gentleman would have risked his life for the honor of kissing that mysterious hand. But other people had different opinions. Some women said the red hand quite destroyed the effect of Georgiana's beauty. Male observers who did not praise the mark simply wished it away so that they did not see it. After his marriage, Almer discovered that this was the case with himself. Had Georgiana been less beautiful, he might have felt his love increased by the prettiness of that little hand. But because she was otherwise so perfect, he found the mark had become unbearable. Almer saw the mark as a sign of his wife's eventual sadness, sickness, and death. Soon the birthmark caused him more pain than Georgiana's beauty had ever given him pleasure. During a period that should have been their happiest, Almer could only think of this disastrous subject. With the morning light, Almer opened his eyes upon his wife's face and recognized the sign of imperfection. When they sat together in the evening near the fire, he would look at the mark. Georgiana soon began to fear his look. His expression would make her face go pale, and the birthmark would stand out like a red jewel on white stone. "Do you remember, dear Almer, about the dream you had last night about this hateful mark?" she asked with a weak smile. None whatever," answered Almer, surprised. The mind is in a sad state when sleep cannot control its ghost and allows them to break free with their secrets. Almer now remembered his dream. He had imagined himself with his assistants, Aminadab, trying to remove the birthmark with an operation. But the deeper his knife went, the deeper the small hand sank, until it caught hold of Georgiana's heart. Almer felt guilty remembering the dream. "Almer," said Georgiana, "I do not know what the cost would be to both of us to remove this birthmark. Removing it could deform my face or damage my health." "Dearest Georgiana, I have spent much thought on the subject," said Almer. "I am sure it can be removed." "Then let the attempt be made at any risk," said Georgiana. "Life is not worth living while this hateful mark makes me the object of your horror. You have deep science and have made great discoveries. Remove this little mark for the sake of your peace and my own." dearest wife," cried Elmer. "Do not doubt my power. I am ready to make this cheek as perfect as its pair." Her husband gently kissed her on the right cheek, the one without the red hand. The next day, the couple went to Elmer's laboratory, where he had made all his famous discoveries. Georgiana would live in a beautiful room he had prepared nearby, while he worked tirelessly in his lab. One by one, Elmer tried a series of powerful experiments on his wife, but the mark remained. Georgiana waited in her room. She read through his notebooks of scientific observations. She could not help see that many of his experiments had ended in failure. She decided to see for herself the scientist at work. The first thing that struck Georgiana when entering the laboratory was the hot furnace. From the amount of soot above it, it seemed to have been burning for ages. She saw machines, tubes, cylinders, and other containers for chemical experiments. What most drew her attention was Elmer himself. He was nervous and pale as death as he worked on preparing a liquid. Georgiana realized that her husband had been hiding his tension and fear. "Think not so little of me that you cannot be honest about the risk we are taking," she said. "I will drink whatever you make for me, even if it is a poison." "My dear, nothing shall be hidden," Elmer said. "I have already given you chemicals powerful enough to change your entire physical system. Only one thing remains to be tried, and if that fails, we are ruined." He led her back to her room where she waited once more, alone with all her thoughts. She hoped that for just one moment she could satisfy her husband's highest ideals, but she realized then that his mind would forever be on the march, always requiring something newer, better, and more perfect. Hours later, Elmer returned, carrying a crystal glass with a colorless liquid. "The chemical process went perfectly," he said. "Unless all my science has tricked me, it cannot fail." "I do not need proof," Georgiana said quietly. "Give me the glass and I'm happy to put my life in your hands." She drank the liquid and immediately fell asleep. Elmer sat next to his wife, observing her and taking notes. He noted everything, her breathing, the movement of an eyelid. He stared at the birthmark, and slowly, with every breath that came and went, it lost some of its brightness. "By heaven, it's nearly gone," said Elmer. "Success! Success!" He opened the window coverings to see her face in daylight. She was so pale. Georgiana opened her eyes and looked into the mirror her husband held. She tried to smile as she saw the barely visible mark. "My poor Elmer," she said gently. "You have aimed so high, with so high and pure a feeling. You have rejected the best the earth could offer." "I am dying, dearest." It was true. The hand on her face had been her link to life. As the last trace of color disappeared from her cheek, she gave her last breath. Blinded by a meaningless imperfection and an impossible goal, Elmer had thrown away her life and with it his chance for happiness. In trying to improve his lovely wife, he had failed to realize she had been perfect all along. You've been listening to The Birthmark by Nathaniel Hawthorne, who once said, "The thing you set your mind on is the thing that you ultimately become." I hope you enjoyed our story. and I'm grateful for your attendance, and I hope to be with you again soon. Please be well, and thank you for listening to me.
When it comes to your roof, don't wait until it's too late. Get a new metal roof today from Erie Home. They're built to withstand up to 120-mile-per-hour winds and are backed by a 50-year warranty. They're one of the nation's leading residential roofing providers. Schedule your free inspection at eriehome.com/podcast to receive up to 50% off installation, up to $1,200. That's eriehome.com/podcast.
Minimum purchase required. Restrictions apply. See rep for warranty or promotional details.